What's going on, everybody? I hope you're enjoying your Saturday afternoon/evening so far. This is MYG Jeffy T85 here, and I got an injury update. The millions and millions and millions of injury updates surrounding Ben Simmons. It seems there's been more injury updates, him missing games, and all this stuff going around Ben Simmons and his actual impact he's made on the court. Ben Simmons has pretty much not played a game since February 15th in the win against the Miami Heat. That was the last time he suited up for the Brooklyn Nets so far. He's been dealing with offseason back surgery that he had. He also has been dealing with left knee soreness pretty much all season. And then he ended up coming down with a back injury pretty much about the past week or two. And then it was revealed yesterday by Brian Lewis of the New York Post that Ben Simmons is dealing with a nerve impingement in his back. And that pretty much put his season in jeopardy. Well, Jacque Vaughn, the Brooklyn Nets head coach, pretty much just confirmed it today. Ben Simmons is out for the rest of the season with the back injury. So, Ben Simmons' 2022-2023 season ends in a whimper. He only averaged 6.9 points, 6.3 rebounds, and 6.1 assists. So 7 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists in only 42 games this year. And he shot 57% from the floor. And they're down drastically from his 16-point, 8 rebound, 8 assist average that he had in Philly. So whatever Ben Simmons that we had in Philly, sure as hell didn't translate over here to Brooklyn. Because he's only literally played 42 games in a season and a half. And with Simmons sidelined, Spencer Dinwiddie had to take over the offense. And Simmons, it's really just, it's sad at this point. It's really just sad what happened with this whole situation. And the fact of the matter is, Simmons is still under contract for at least the next couple of seasons. He doesn't become an unrestricted free agent until 2025. And this is the craziest part. Simmons has played in literally 42 games in a season and a half. He's going to be making almost $38 million next year because of the contract that they traded for. And this is one of the reasons why Sean Marks is on the hot seat. You traded for a guy that looks like he doesn't even have the passion of the game. You traded for a guy that can't stay on the court. You traded for a guy that has been wildly ineffective and has been making more headlines off the court than he's been making on the court. He's like the last piece of that drama-filled puzzle for the Brooklyn Nets. Of the Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, James Harden, Ben Simmons quartet. He's the last piece of that puzzle. Obviously, Harden and Simmons, one going, the other one coming in. This is going to be Sean Marks' legacy unless this team turns it around. The James Harden trade with Karis LeVert and Jared Allen and those guys. And you traded them away for James Harden, who was a malcontent for a year and a half with the Nets, was forcing the Nets to get him to get traded at the trade deadline for Ben Simmons. And in 42 games, all Simmons has done is average 7 points, 6 assists, 6 rebounds in 42 games in a season and a half. I'm not even going to get mad about it. At this point, I'm so Ben Simmons fatigued. I never wanted this guy on this team. I never wanted the Nets to bring this guy in. But Sean Marks got desperate because James Harden wanted to get traded last year's trade deadline. And Simmons has been an unmitigated flop. And the worst part about it is he's making the most money on this team. He's going to be making $40 million plus in his last year of his contract in 2024-2025. This kid is only 26 years old right now, and he has been an absolute flop for the Brooklyn Nets. Flop. I mean, it's very difficult to see because Simmons actually has a skill set to help this team, and I'm really tired of always reporting Ben Simmons news negatively, much like I was tired of Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, James Harden negative news all the time. This is the same thing because it seems that Nets fans have to keep talking about Ben Simmons' ineffective play on the court, not being aggressive, and always being out with injury, more than we actually talk about this guy and his on-court prowess and his on-court abilities. Because this guy was averaging around 20 points per game and was averaging 8 rebounds and 7 assists at one point per season. And whatever happened to him in Philadelphia during the end a few years ago absolutely destroyed his career. Because he's looking like a 26-year-old washed-up player. 26 years old, washed up. And I don't like saying that. I don't like saying that about any player, but this kid looks washed up. And the sad part is the Nets could actually use him right now because their defense has been lacking big time. And they could use a solid facilitator of the basketball. And what does Ben Simmons do the best? Facilitate the basketball. And he also does a good job defensively. Now, they said it's the end of the season. I don't know if that clarifies he's out for the playoffs too. I'm guessing it does because he has a nerve impingement in his back. And I don't know what this is going to mean for Simmons. And the Nets are pretty much on the hook for... They're on the hook for about $77 million. They're on the hook for $77 million in the next 2 seasons for a guy that's averaged 7 points, 6 rebounds, and 6 assists, and has played 42 games for a season and a half. If that doesn't make you want to just crazy and just make you laugh as a Nets fan, I don't know what could. Because that's exactly what this feels like right now. I feel just like laughing. Not at him, just laughing as a fan because of what this whole situation has turned into. This has been a mitigated disaster. And Sean Marks should have never made the trade for James Harden. I will not stop saying that. That was the beginning of the end of this Nets roster. When he decided to trade for James Harden and gave up all those draft picks, including Karis LeVert and Jared Allen, who are key pieces to what Sean Marks was building with this team. And then James Harden spent the entire time with the Nets, injured, a malcontent, and forced his way out of Brooklyn because of issues with Kyrie. And we all know how it ended after that. And the Nets were forced to take on a guy like Ben Simmons because the only place that he wanted to go, Harden, was to Philadelphia. And the best player we got out of that trade was Seth Curry. And I like Seth Curry, but this dude is always hurt and missing time too. I've always said that both teams lost this trade. But right now, if I had to say who's leaning in better favor, it's probably Philadelphia because at least James Harden has been on the court doing something for the Philadelphia 76ers while Ben Simmons has been spending more time in street clothes and making news off the court rather than making news on the court. And I'm just monotone to it right now because I'm just so tired of just reporting the same news about this dude. And the quicker we can get this guy traded off our roster, if it's even possible in the offseason, the better. Because he's really that last black cloud hovering over this Brooklyn Nets organization. And if this team doesn't turn it around, which they're right now on a 5-game losing streak, and they have a monster game that's going to be happening in literally about an hour from now in Miami. Because they're half game now trailing Miami for the 7th seed. I mean, they actually might even be a game behind. But this Ben Simmons situation has been an absolute, beyond mitigated disaster. And now his season is over because of a back injury, a nerve impingement in his back, plus left knee soreness. So unless that the Nets decide to keep him around because they can't trade him, and they just try to get this dude healthy, Ben Simmons has played in 42 games in a season and a half for the Brooklyn Nets, and he's only averaged 7 points, 6 rebounds, and 6 assists for a guy that's making $35+ million in 2022 and 2023, and is still owed $77 million over the next 2 seasons. That's insane. But the Nets have nobody to blame but themselves, because they didn't have to put themselves in a situation to trade for a guy that clearly either A, is not healthy, and B, is just not, he doesn't have that fire that he had in the beginning of his career with Philadelphia. Whatever happened to this guy, it's just not there. And now your most expensive player on your roster is pretty much taking up space on the bench. And he's going to be rehabbing his back. Hopefully he gets healthy. No matter what you think about the player, no matter what you think about him as a person, you don't ever want to see anybody get hurt. You don't ever want to see anybody suffer what he's been dealing with. The humane reason for it. But basketball reasons, this has been a disaster for the Nets. And I blame nobody except for the top of the people in this organization, Sean Marks and Joe Tsai, because they're the ones that made this happen. They're the ones that wanted to go all in for James Harden, which no Nets fan, a lot of sane Nets fans did not want. And this ended up leading them to Ben Simmons. And now this is like another dark cloud hovering above this organization. So there's your breaking news. Ben Simmons has been ruled out for the season with nerve impingement in his back. And that was straight from Nets head coach Jacque Vaughn. Now the Nets have to try to pick up the pieces and see if they can somehow rally and get a monster victory tonight to end this 5-game losing streak, because a couple of nights ago was as bad as it can get. After they dropped that game to Cleveland when they had the game won, they were up by 6 with a minute to go, and they couldn't hold on to that lead. And they blew it on a game-winning 3-point shot by Isaac Okoro. No matter what anybody says, Donovan Mitchell, lane violation, I don't want to hear it. This game should have never been in that position to begin with. The Nets should have won this game already, and they blew it in the end. So you guys let me know in the comment section how you think about the injury news about Ben Simmons. He's out for the season with nerve impingement in his back. And what do the Nets do now for the rest of the season, and how are they going to be able to solve the Ben Simmons crisis and the Ben Simmons dilemma that a lot of Nets fans have been talking about and a lot of Nets fans are not happy about? Please hit that like button. Give a sub to NYG Jeffy T85. More news, updates, and chatter surrounding the Brooklyn Nets. And turn on that bell for notifications on the next video or short dropping on the channel surrounding the Brooklyn Nets. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a great rest of your Saturday. Take it easy, and let's go Brooklyn Nets. Let's get the win tonight and end this losing streak already. It's a Nets world, and we're all just living in it.